EURUSD has taken out the overall swing high, and we are currently at its strongest intraday level since October 2021, as easing geopolitical tensions and softer US economic data have fueled fresh demand for it to push up higher. Now, the announcement of a ceasefire for the war between Israel and Iran, along with cautious remarks from Jerome Powell, so the Federal Reserve in the United States, have helped spark its latest push and have pushed oil and, for example, gold down lower. Now, furthermore, that countries are looking for a dialogue, that they're not bombing each other anymore. This is obviously causing the dollar to drop, or has caused the dollar to drop, and, for example, also gold. Now, good morning, guys. My name is Fabio, and welcome back to another daily market outlook where we discuss the major dollar pairs and, of course, gold. My apologies for being a little bit later this week, as I'm currently in South America, where the time difference is 5 hours back, so it's just a little bit impossible to do the London Open market outlooks, but we are here, and with a lot of success, guys, because yesterday we launched the daily fractal indicator, or the fractal indicator that I have here on my screen, and which I use on a daily basis. Now, if you want access to this indicator, make sure to check out the link of this video in the description, as you can use it and get joined there as well. Now, good morning, guys. So we're going to be looking at EURUSD first, and EURUSD has taken out the overall swing high, which becomes very clear on the 4-hour time frame, and which I was looking to see taken out yesterday. Obviously, here we kind of have the descending highs. I was looking for that to get taken out yesterday. It's kind of like what I was looking for, a push. Overall, not the cleanest price action yesterday, with a pretty consolidative market. Didn't really move anywhere. But now that we've swept that liquidity, I'm looking for potential correction down lower. Currently, we're near the fractal low here on EURUSD on the 4-hour and on the 1-hour as well. Now, I'm looking for an overall deeper correction, and the main reason for that is because on the 4-hour time frame, we still have a lot of fresh demand here at the bottom. So I'm looking at this 4-hour demand zone right over here, and for a pullback in towards it. Reason number one is obviously, okay, we come above a overall swing high where there is potential liquidity. Now, for us then to see potential pullback, what do we need? We need the 4-hour change of character. So if that change of character happens, that could fuel a pullback. However, we need to keep in mind one thing, and that is the fact that the daily fractal structure is obviously bullish. Now, if we look here at the daily fractal, we can see that the fractals have been respected very, very well here, with the fractal break, fractal break, fractal break, and another fractal break. So overall, you're theoretically only interested pretty much in longs on EURUSD, as it doesn't make a lot of sense to short. However, if you're an intraday trader, you could obviously look for those short-term shorting opportunities on EURUSD to trade it pretty much back down into, let's say, this 4-hour demand zone that we have over here. Just keep in mind that the daily fractal is bullish. Overall, looking at this from a weekly perspective, I'm very curious to see where the weekly will close. Obviously, we had kind of like this imbalance over here, but this imbalance caused an initial reaction with this overall push down. Now we've broken that area of supply. So from where are we now going to look for potential reversals back down lower? Well, there are two levels. We have this bump in the road over here where there is a liquidity above, and we have this bump in the road pretty much where we have liquidity above. So I'm looking for pretty much a pullback on EURUSD from one of those either levels. That's kind of like the only moment that I really want to be actually in shorts, because for now the weekly fractal is bullish over here. As we can see, current fractal low, current fractal high. Now let's see where this week closes, because let's say we see a strong engulfing candle, then you would have a very nice weekly imbalance candle, which could act as a demand zone to then push the market up higher in towards those liquidity highs. Furthermore, looking at the daily time frame, we're fractal bullish, so preferably you just want to be trading longs. And looking at the 4-hour time frame, we're obviously swing bullish as well. So I'll also only really be interested in longs. Now, looking at this from kind of like a swing perspective, just to help you guys out with drawing in some swings. Let's say here we have our swing break of structure. Then here we broke market structure in towards the downside, and this is just mechanically speaking. You would then say after this break of structure that this over here was your swing high. So this is pretty much actually the swing high that you then break. And that would actually mean, let's say mechanically speaking, that this is actually here your swing low, and over here you had the swing high. So you can actually see that the market never really made a deep retracement into, for example, because if you look at this from a swing perspective, in towards that 0.5 fib, but it actually already pushed up higher from where? From the daily fractal structure. So this is very important to understand, that when you have like 4-hour swing structure, and this is mechanically speaking the 4-hour swing, the market doesn't need to retrace all the way back down in towards that 0.5. No, if the market is really impulsive and bullish, then it can just continue up higher, and that's why I love using fractal structure, because it just shows that the market is then ready to continue to push up higher. Now, the fractal is bullish, swing is bullish, so shorts not really making sense for myself. Obviously, I kind of trade the higher time frame. So for now, what I'll just be doing on EURUSD is waiting. If you want to get in shorts, wait for the 4-hour fractal break and then kind of like trade the pullback, and then you could justify that trade with the fact that we have liquidity above the swing high taken, we had the 4-hour fractal structure break, and you still have this demand on open. And then what I'll do personally is just wait for the market to push a little bit lower and reprice itself to then get into new longs in the potential future. This wick, or these two wicks, that's kind of like your daily demand zone over there. And then inside of that daily demand zone, you have a 4-hour demand zone in the form of like the entire sell for the buy up. So then I would just wait for the market to reprice itself and then give me the 4-hour fractal structure shift to confirm that it then wants to push up higher once again. But yeah, not the cleanest of price action on EURUSD, but that's pretty much what I'm looking for, and that's why you could take some potential short-term shorts. Here on the dollar index, we still have a gap over here to fill. So let's see if we can get kind of like a push up today. We still have a lot of liquidity underneath all of these lows, so eventually I would assume that those lows get taken out. Obviously, looking at this from kind of like a daily perspective over here, the daily is still bearish. We have this daily kind of like buy for the sell, which liquidated this high over here, right? So this is the buy for the sell down, which liquidated this high. So if the dollar index pushes back in towards there, then I'll be looking for a short to take out those lows again. And that would coincide then with a nice EURUSD long. So that's what I'm looking for on the dollar index. For the rest, the dollar index looks bearish. I mean, there's nothing really bullish about it, only the fact that you kind of have this as a support level. So yeah, I mean, for now, I'll just be following the overall daily fractal. I'll just be following the overall daily fractal, and I'll be keeping an eye on that, and also be looking at the 4-hour fractal and the 4-hour structure, where we have this pretty much as a nice area of supply. So we'll be looking to see what happens when the market retraces in towards there. Going into AUDUSD, we can see that AU has kind of like stalled. Overall, looking at this from a daily perspective, we can see that we didn't really close above the overall fractal high over here. So again, very messy price action on a lot of these pairs. But the way that I'll just be looking at it is that this hammer candle over here is kind of like your imbalanced demand, and if the market retraces in towards there, that is then what I'll be happy to potentially look for long again. I'll be looking at this kind of like as the PVD from a fractal structure perspective, and then the 4-hour time frame. You could view this obviously kind of like as a break of structure. But now let's say we do push down lower, because I'm not going to be longing here personally. I'll be waiting for the market just to reprice itself and give me kind of like some manipulation. There's no like liquidation in this push up, so I would really want to see kind of like the market start to recharge itself, or just consolidate and then kind of like give a spike down to at least liquidate some people before looking for any potential further buy positions. But yeah, for the rest, AUDUSD is obviously not a pair that's looking very clean at the moment. Going into GBPUSD, we can see that GBPUSD is still extremely bullish. It's one of the more bullish pairs, despite the pound not being the strongest, but the dollar is just weaker, simply said. For GU overall, what happened is that we swept this high over here, and what I'm now overall looking for is for the market to just reprice itself in towards this daily demand zone, and then just trade the daily fractal up higher again. So let's see if GU could reprice itself, and then I'll look for longs again from that demand zone. I'll not be taking the short position, because again, at any point in time, can the market just boom continue up higher again? So if the market retraces in towards that demand zone, that is where I want to go long from once we get the bullish confirmation inside of the demand zone itself. So I'll be looking to potentially trade that. But obviously on EU and on GU, we're kind of at the liquidity high. We've taken out and swept that liquidity. But on GU especially, for me, as I don't really go lower than the 4-hour fractals, I kind of at least need 4-hour fractal confirmation before getting into shorts. or at least 1 hour fractal confirmation. It's just not here, so I'll personally not be trading it. We have the overextended move indeed, and we should see kind of like somewhat of a deeper correction, but again, everybody's expecting a short, so don't kind of like be the liquidity. We could also just kind of like boom, spike up again, boom, spike up again, and kind of like see the ascending correction before really spiking back down lower. That's why I prefer trading the higher time frame fractals always, because it at times will really represent better what actually the market wants to do. The higher time frames just simply said stronger. So let's see if we can get maybe something like this, some kind of like ascending corrective pattern before looking for shorts. And if it does sell off, I don't really care. I'll just wait for the market to reprice itself back down in towards that 4 hour demand zone and that daily demand zone before then looking for longs once again. Going into NZDUSD. NZDUSD is obviously similar to AU, where it just looks very messy. Overall, the market has gotten this kind of like sell for the buy. You could also just draw it in on the hammer candle over here. Let's keep an eye on the hammer candle as a daily demand zone, and let's just view this kind of like as the market structure itself. And we can then view this as, okay, the market has repriced itself into discount. We formed a daily fractal demand zone, and I want to be targeting the liquidity above this dotted line. So I'll be interested for some more longs on NZDUSD, as again, the market is pricing itself towards risk on assets again. I'll be looking here at the 4 hour time frame, and again, what I want to see is pretty much the market just drop and then give us some manipulation inside that daily demand zone before looking for longs. But also be super happy if we just kind of like see some ascending correction and then kind of like the drop off. So for me, I'm looking for these pairs, especially these dollar pairs, to kind of like redevelop themselves and then provide me with better opportunities. So either I'll start taking shorts once the market shows me that it wants to sell off with the ascending corrective price action, and then I'll look to trade the pullback, maybe on the lower time frame, or I just wait for it to drop, and it just drops. I don't take the shorts. I wait for the market to reprice itself into that daily demand zone, and then I'll start looking for those longs. So that's what I'm looking for there. Dollar Swiss took out the lows as we discussed yesterday, and you can see straight away it retraces back up higher. So yeah, equal lows now taken out over here. So now you could start trading a pullback. This is a little bit more different than EURUSD and GBPUSD. However, the 4 hour fractal is obviously all the way up here. But if you're kind of like more aggressive, yeah, the 1 hour time frame doesn't even have fractals. 15-minute time frame. Yeah, so this morning kind of like some nice price action in the sense that you can see you liquidate. I don't think I have the Asian session range indicator, but I think that I think that this is the Asian session range low, whatever you want to call it. And then obviously here we have kind of like the manipulation. So you have the accumulation phase, the A, then you have the manipulation phase in towards the downside. You also had it in towards the upside actually. But then here double fractal break, and then pretty much on the double fractal break you could start going long. So you see there is kind of like some 50-minute opportunity here. It's like in a very aggressive trade, but it is a trade overall that you could have taken back up in towards the highs for pretty much, yeah, at its peak 2.38% profit with 1% risk. Now what I'm looking for here on USD Swiss, obviously guys, the momentum is in towards the downside, and you're actually already kind of like in the buy before the sell here. So it's not like the highest probability buy, but I'll be looking for this to redevelop itself, because I really want to see the market kind of like start to buy on dollar Swiss. But again, the market doesn't give a fuck about my feelings, but I would love that. But yeah, for me, USD Swiss, current fractal high, once that breaks, then I'll start really looking at getting into some longs again on USD Swiss. But until then, kind of like the short opportunity, the ideal short opportunity has already been provided from that daily area of supply over here. So this was the daily supply zone, and then inside of that daily supply zone, the market provided you with a good sell opportunity here on the 4 hour fractal break. Over here, so we formed a 4 hour supply zone inside that daily supply zone, and that caused the market to really sell off very beautifully back down towards that swing low. So again, the short opportunities happened. Now we need to wait for the market to reprice itself, redevelop itself before getting into any trades. And for me, the next great opportunity, because for a short here, you validate that short because you're going to be targeting the equal lows. Now you've taken the liquidity, all of the liquidity, so it doesn't make sense again to get into a short straight away. So for me, I want to see now the longs to target the other side of the liquidity, because let's say you view this as your BSL buy side liquidity, and this is kind of like the sell side liquidity. So you've taken the sell side liquidity, now I want to trade towards the buy side liquidity, but I need the confirmation that the market actually wants to take that buy side liquidity, and that will come if we see a break of the current fractal high. Then I'll start looking for those buys again. Otherwise, until then, I'm not really interested in trading USD Swiss. USDJPY, I'm looking at really just a pair that's so consolidated and messy over the past few weeks, actually. Even looking at the 4 hour here, it's really not a pair that I'm looking to trade at the moment. I'll really skip this one, just my personal preference. It's just kind of like range fighting between the dollar and the yen, which are both relatively weak at the moment, so I'll just stay out of this for now. And then what we can look at is, of course, gold. I know a lot of you guys love gold. Now, gold is a pretty simple one. Obviously, it's been dropping thanks to the risk on sentiment, which has been coming back into the markets after Israel and Iran closed or went to the table to talk, or let's say they didn't talk, but they have at least a ceasefire. Now, we're back in the overall impulsive phase, obviously, of gold from this low in towards pretty much the high which we're targeting here. So we're looking for that upside continuation. Daily fractals bullish, so shorts for me are just not valid, simply said. Even despite it seeing the drop off, we're currently positioned inside that daily area of demand. So eventually I'm looking for higher prices on gold, but there's no confirmation that we're ready to push yet. Especially if you look here at the 4 hour time frame, you can obviously see that the 4 hour fractal is bearish from this high to this low, and we have like the perfect liquidity low positioned over here still, which you theoretically would need to get taken out before looking for any high probability longs. So I'm not in longs yet for gold. I would only start to get into longs again once we break the current fractal high, yeah, that's pretty much what I would be doing personally. Looking at the 1 hour, you did have like a fractal break here, but then again, fractals only matter when they happen at areas of interest. So here you have descending highs. This is kind of like the highest liquidity high, and you see you just take out that liquidity high, and now you start dropping again. So gold could just start selling off again from here, and I would prefer that actually, because I just want to see that low over here get taken out before really looking for any potential reversals. But yeah, I would like this not to happen today. Reason being, because if it doesn't happen today and we kind of like see this candle close as an inside bar, that would mean that this is your fractal high, and then tomorrow, for example, we see the low break. Then this is the FL, the fractal FH, excuse me. This is in the fractal high, and then you can wait for that to break, and then you can go long, because if we break the low today, that means that this is then your fractal high, and then it will take a lot longer before we see a daily fractal high break again. So yeah, that's kind of like what I'm looking for to happen. So on gold, I would prefer to see a sell-off today. So if you want, you can look at the lower time frame to get into some scalps on gold. Shorts, in my opinion, we have some nice order flow, especially like here on the 1 hour time frame. You have a nice imbalanced supply. So that liquidated this high as well. So let's see if it can maybe sell off a little bit deeper today, and then yeah, maybe into tomorrow, and then we'll see if we can get some better long opportunities towards the end of the week. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day, and we'll speak soon. And don't forget, Thursday we'll be going live on YouTube.